Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So we're going to continue with our series on introduction to MySQL and SQL for data analysts or anyone who is interested in learning SQL. Could be data engineer, software developer. So this tutorial is going to be a good resource to start from. So the other tutorials we have started from the very basic level, writing select statements, if conditions, switch cases, and stuff like that, right? And then last tutorial we looked at how to write procedures. So in this tutorial we're going to take a bit advanced. We're going to go ahead and learn more about views. Okay, so I've learned about procedures. So now we're at the big intermediate level. So I've learned about procedures. Now we're learning about views. So what is a view and how can a view help you? And this is the question we're going to be answering in this question: why we should use a view, why a view is good, what's a view, and all that. Okay, so let's get to it. Okay, so basically, what I want to do, okay, as I said from the very beginning of this series is going to be a project-based learning. Okay, so you want to solve a problem, we'll learn all the techniques needed to solve the problem. So in this case, you're going to have a problem that you want to solve is to generate a report like this, right? And then generate a report like this that you can call and then retrieve information from. Okay, so we're going to store this kind of like in a table, but not like a real table, right? That's what you want to do. So we want to generate a gross profit, a gross sales report by each country based on monthly, yearly report of the gross sales in each market, right? Like the US market, the France market, and the different years and the months in which the gross sales were made. Okay, so what's the data? You're going to be tackling this using a database view, a data view, because you want to join this in a table, but the table should not appear in a list of all the tables that we have. This is what we call basically a view is. So what's a view basically? I got this definition from IBM and it's a really good definition. So IBM says that a database view is a subset of a database and is based on a query that runs on one or more database tables. So database views are saved in the database as named queries and can be used to save frequently used can be used to save frequently and used and complex queries. So if you have a complex query or something that you use frequently, you can use a view for that. Okay, so views are basically virtual tables and then runs the saved queries on the fly, right? So these are basically virtual tables that run saved queries on flies. That's the way I can put it in a much simpler form. Virtual table that runs saved queries on the fly. That's basically what a view is. Okay, so what are the different types of views that we have? We have dynamic views and we have static views. Okay, so I'm not going to go ahead and start going into the theoretical part of stuff and explain to you. I'm just going to keep everything simple and easy to understand. And then later on, if you're interested more, you can go ahead and read more research about it. So basically, there are two main types of views: there are dynamic views and there are static views. So dynamic views contain data that's data from one or more tables, right? All columns included are automatically generated or updated are done automatically. So static views contain data from multiple tables. The columns are manually selected and the updates are done manually. So that's basically the difference between a static view and a dynamic view. Okay, so let's create a view. So to create a view, there are two ways. You can do it two ways. You can write it from scratch yourself. You have to memorize syntax, which is not a good idea. I don't like memorizing syntax because syntax changes from time to time. So if you're just wasting your time memorizing syntax, after a few months or few years after you learn it, it's going to change again. So what's the point of learning the syntax if you can just Google it and just get the latest and the most secure code instead of memorizing some that you probably have vulnerabilities. So second way of generating queries is by using MySQL Workbench. Right, I'll show you how to do that in MySQL Workbench. So that's a much simpler way of doing it. So views, the naming of views can say this view you're going to generate is going to have a name: yearly, monthly, growth, sales. That's the name of the view you're going to generate. So, and the other videos look at naming conventions. Okay, so we look at naming conventions in the last tutorial, so we can go ahead and check out the naming conventions of views. But in this case, I'm just gonna name it this way. So you can follow the naming conventions, or you can just name it anything you want. But it's always a good practice to follow the naming conventions. So gross sales. So gross sales, what are gross sales and what are all that information? So you need to know a couple of business understanding before we start generating these sales reports, right? We need to have a bit understanding of the business because you're trying to analyze data from a business. Without you having business or domain knowledge of what you're doing, then it really doesn't help. So things you need to know. So gross sales is a metric for the total sales of a company, unadjusted for the cost related to generating those sales. So this basically is just the sales without any adjustment, without any subtraction of the cost of manufacturing. So it's not a profit. It's just I sold this product, I got this amount of money. That's gross profit. I didn't minus any profits. I didn't minus any expenses to get the actual profit. I just sold this product for this amount and I have this amount. I didn't take out any profit. It's unadjusted. So gross sales are calculated as the total sales before discounts or returns. So analysts find it helpful to plot gross profit and net profit together to determine different trends. Okay, so if both lines increase together, this will indicate like trouble with the product quality and stuff like that. So I got this from this financial website, and you can click the link right here to access it. Okay. Also, things you need to know. So we also have net sales. So net sales, on the other hand, take into account all the expenses related to a product. So if I sell a product for, let's say, 100K, and I spent maybe 60K making that product, all the services, storage, electricity, freight, and all that. So I'm going to take 100 minus 60, which is my expenses, and I'm going to get 40, which is now my profit, right? So that's net sales. So net sales takes into account all the expenses related to generating of the goods sold to find the revenue. Hence, it gives a better picture of the business performance, right? Whether they're making profit, loss, gain, anything like that. Okay. So this is basically the formula. So you take the gross sales, right, which is your sales revenue, minus the cost of goods sold. The cost of goods sold will be transportation, uh, electricity, storage bills, and other stuff like that. If you find a difference, you get a gross profit, and you can take in any additional or optional operational expenses, and then you get the net profit. So gross profit minus cost of goods sold, gross sales minus cost of goods sold, you get gross profit, and gross profit minus operational expenses, you get net profit. Okay. So that's just basic understanding of financial statement, because you need to understand this whenever you're writing these queries. Okay, it's not a must to understand the queries, but it's good to have domain knowledge. And okay, that's what we're trying to learn here, not just writing queries. We are not basically boss, right? So we have to understand what we are doing. So this is an example of a financial statement, right? So you can see the gross profit, the revenue, which is cost of goods sold, the gross sales minus the cost of sales, which is cost of goods sold. Finally, you get the gross profit, and then minus other operational expenses. Then finally, you get the net sales and other stuff like that. Okay, so that's basically it. And then you can find taxes and other things. And then you finally get the net income, or the net income of how much profit you have made. So yeah, that's basically a financial statement. You can pause the video, take a look at it. I just got this from financialstrategies.com. Okay, so once you have looked at all of that, okay, let's go ahead and actually run the creative view to generate the report that we want. So let me just go back to this report so that we have it. Again, you can see I'm using uh, transitions. So let me know which one you prefer, whether these transitions or these ones. Okay, so let me know what you guys prefer. Okay, so this is the query, and let's go ahead and begin to write the query. So we need to go ahead and do a couple of things. We need to select the year, the month, the country, and then the gross sales. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to say select. I'm going to select finally I want the year, and the year, let me just go ahead and select everything. From this is going to be coming from let's say customers, just like that. So select the query and run the query. So if we select everything from customers, this is what we get back. Okay, so we have this information from the customers table. So we have all this information from the customers table. We can just take it and analyze this code. Okay, so good. So we have that from the customers table, and we're also going to be using the order details table. So you can also select this from the, let's go ahead and simply write a join here. So let's say join. We're going to go ahead and join the orders table, and we're going to give it an alias name as ORD, and this one we can just give it an alias name as C, and you're going to specify on which condition you want to join. So we can say on ORD dot let's say ORD dot order number. So the order number is going to be something, or order number, order number. Let me see, let me just get this right. Okay, so order number, and it's going to be equals to C dot order dot I actually made a mistake right here. So this is going to be customer number. So it's going to be customer number. It's going to be this one dot customer number as well. Customer number, just like that. So this is going to be C. Let me change this to small letter C. So once I have this, I can just select the query and run the query. Let's see what we get. So I got an error right here. No, as well, customer. Okay, customer number. Okay, so sorry for that typo. So select this and run it again. So let's see if this works. Yeah, good. So you have joined the orders table and the customer table. So from the orders table, we're going to get the order information, right? And then from the order table, we're going to get the, sorry, from the customers, we're going to get the customer information, right? So that's basically, we have those two tables that you have joined. And let me just zoom out a bit so that this query can be a bit clearer, easier to see. Good. So let me know if you guys, you can see this. If not, I'll try to adjust it on the next video. So once I have this done, I want to go ahead and do a couple of things. So I want to select the couple of things. I want to select the year. So we're going to get from here. So if you look here, you can see we can get the year. So I want to go ahead and pull out the following information. I want to get the month and the year information, the year from that this column right here. So to do that, you just have an inbuilt function you can use. So you can just say year and you pass in the year that you want. So in this case, we want already dot order, sorry, this is going to be dot order date, and that's going to return to us the year. That's basically it. Just want the month, so when you say month, and you're going to say already dot order date, and it should return to us the month of, on which that order was made. So select this, run the query again. Now we should have the year and the month. So we have this part of it. So good. So now we're going to go ahead and select the country. So where does the country come from? The country is going to be from the customer. That's why I have the customer table. So we're going to go ahead and say c dot country, just like that, and it's going to return to us the country in which that customer came from. So we have the country information. So we have the year, month, and the customer information. Now I want to calculate the gross sales. So what's the gross sales? Gross sales, just take the the quantity that was ordered times the price at which the sale price, and that will give us the gross sales, because that is just the amount at which we sold the product for, right? We didn't include any adjustments. So we're going to say sum, and you're going to do sum of already sorry, this is going to be already dot quantity ordered, right? Quantity ordered multiplied by, so this is going to be a calculated gram or the order. Okay, we need to get this from another table, which is going to be called, let me see, I think this is going to be coming from the order details table. So we need to get this from the order details table. Okay, so we need to go ahead and run another join and pull this information from the order details table. So I'm going to go down here and run another join. So join on order details. So order details, let's give it an alias name as order details, just like that. And you're going to go ahead and specify on what you want to join it on. So you're going to say order dot order number, and it should be equals to order detail dot order number, just like that. So that's all we need to do. So once we have this done, we need to group by a couple of things, but for now, let's try to run this query. So we're going to go ahead and say right, order details, and you can look for order details table. We should have a column called quantity ordered, and that's what we're looking for. So we're going to say quantity ordered multiplied by the quantity the price each, which I believe is also in this table, which is right here, price each, the price at which each good was sold for. So price each, just like that. So we can give it an alias name. We can say as, and it's going to be as gross underscore sales, just like that. So once we have this, I'm going to select all this query and simply run it. So once we run it, we have an error right here. So order details, so sorry, this is going to be order details with a small letter d. So my bad for that. So run this again. Okay, we have an error right here, integrated exactly. So what the reason we're getting this error is because we need to group by a couple of things. So yeah, let's look at this properly again. Let me just go here and change these names right here. So I'm going to just say as economic underscore or year, and also this one I'm going to call it as economic month, as economic underscore month. Great. So once we have that, I'm going to also go ahead and add some code right here. I'm going to go ahead and group by we're going to group by the economic underscore year, and c dot country country. So going to group by economic underscore month. Once you have that grouping, you're going to go ahead and apply having close right here. So yeah, that's basically it. So I think that's all we need to do. So once I have this done, I'm just going to go ahead and select this query again and then run it. So it works, and we can see the information that we have right here. So you can see we have the year, the month, the country, then finally the gross sales that was from that specific country. So that's basically, so the month of January from the US, 2003 from the US, we had this amount of sales. Yeah, so you can see all that information right here. Okay, so that's it. You can see all that information right there that we have. So basically we got the year, the month, the country, and then we found the cost of goods, which is gonna be the quantity sold times the price without any reductions and other stuff like that. So we assume this price is just the selling price without any adjustments to it. So that's my assumption. Okay, so once we have that done, you're going to go ahead and simply say the, get this from information. We join all the tables that we need, and then finally we group by. We do this grouping by. We group by the year, the country, right, and then finally we also group by the economic month. So that's basically it. So let me just format this code a bit. It looks much cleaner. Sorry for that. Much cleaner code. Just and yeah, so that's basically it. So yeah, something like this. So given, or I'll put the order by another line. So that's basically the query. That's basically the query that we have. Okay, so that's basically the query to generate this. Now we want to go ahead and you can also filter out. Let's say that you want to do this by a specific year, so you can also add a having clause right here. So having, and then you can say having economic underscore year is equals to 2005, and I explained the reason why we're using having here, right? So if you haven't watched that video, the difference between and uh having and group by, right? I think having having and group by, you can check out that video. Okay, I think it's having and where close. Yeah, you can check out that video on it. So that's basically it. So we are using having right here, and I explain why in that video. Okay, so I'm not going to explain it here. Okay, so that's basically it. So now we have this. Now we want to generate this, store this table, right? Let me just delete this having part. We want to store this table inside of a, like a virtual table that we can use. So you can see right here, we don't have any virtual table right here. So now what we want to do is, once we generate this information, we can store it in a virtual table, and then instead use that virtual table whenever you want to access information from this table that we'll use in the future videos to generate other reports, right? So instead of having to run this query using subqueries or CTEs, we can just have a view and then treat the view basically as a table. So that's basically, which is basically a virtual table, and you'll see how it's going to become useful in our upcoming videos. So let's go ahead and convert this into a view. So how do you do that? I told you we're going to be using MySQL to do that, because we want to write the code from scratch ourselves. So to do this, you just have to come here and then say create view, and then give the view a name. So what name you call the view? I have a name that I think I mentioned right here. Let me see the name right here. So I call it yearly monthly gross sales. Okay, yearly underscore monthly underscore gross underscore sales, just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and copy the query from here. Copy everything. Don't copy the having clause. Okay, just copy everything apart from the having clause and just paste it right here. So that's all we need, and add the semicolon. So that's all we need to generate this view. So once we have it, just click on apply. Click on apply right here, and it's going to go ahead and generate for you, add for you some other stuff. Okay, so just go ahead and say close that. And now if you go into views, you should be able to find a view. So you can just click on this, and basically this is being treated as a table, just like any other table. So you can see all that record for each specific month and year in here. So that's basically it. So once you want to filter data from a specific month, the gross sales, you can just go ahead and call this table just like the way you call any other table. The difference is that it's not inside of an actual table, because it's a virtual table, so it doesn't appear here, but it appears under view, which is a virtual tables. Okay, so that's basically it for views in this tutorial. So let's take a big look at let's look at advantages of views. So views provide you with security, right? You can access control. Views are good in performance. So queries against a view are still translated into queries against the underlying source tables. Yeah, that's true. If the view is complex and multi-table, then the query against the view will have poor performance. So that's one of the disadvantages of views. So if you're having multiple table, sometimes views can be problematic in terms of performance. So query simplicity is that views can be treated as virtual tables. So instead of uh, us having to run this query all the time, we can just simply go ahead and simply say select everything from the name of the virtual table, which is basically this right here. And if you run this should still work. Okay, so that's basically being treated as just a normal table, right? So that's one of the advantages of views, simplicity. So consistencies can maintain a consistent structure or image, structured image of database. That's another advantage of views. So views compared with CTEs. So we have looked at CTEs, which are this common table expressions, and we have seen how CTEs can be used, like also CTEs, subqueries, and all that, correlated queries. And you can see the advantage of CTEs and all that. But the difference between a CTE and a view is that a view is a temporary table that exists within the whole session. Whenever you log into your MySQL workbench, you open a session, and the views are going to exist until the end of the session, and you can access them from any part of your SQL query throughout the whole session. But CTEs can only be accessed from the point that you have defined before a delimiter comes, right? A semicolon, right? So we have talked about views already. We have worked with views a ton. So I hope you understand the difference. Views are only available or only usable only for a specific part of the code. So let me just explain to you this more. So for example, we have created a CTE right here from this. Okay, so this CTE only exists until this part we have the semicolon. Apart from that, this CTE doesn't exist anymore. So if you want to create the same CTEs, you have to use it again, right? So that's the difference between those two. Okay, but a view exists within the whole session, right? You can access it from anywhere. Okay, that's the difference between a view and a CTE. While a CTE only exists from the point of definition until where the ending semicolon comes, while a view you can access from anywhere. Like we defined it, we created a view and you're accessing it here, right? Just like in a more table that you can access from anywhere. So that's the difference, main difference between a view and a CTE. So now you can know, or depending on your use case, which one to use, either a view or a CTE. So that's basically the difference between a view and a CTE. So let's look at performance perspective and optimization decisions to make. One disadvantage of using a CTE is that we generate this temporary table each time we execute a query. Okay, why not have why not have a table instead, like a permanent table? Okay, you might be worried, okay, storage is expensive, like you have to buy extra storage on your server or on your computer, anything like that. It's expensive, right? So it might be an issue. Nowadays that's really not an issue, because like we have moved past that point where we worry about so much about memory. Now memory is highly available. We have even flash drives that are 1 terabyte. Okay, that's really ridiculous, but yeah. Secondly, add extra columns to existing tables. Again, you increase storage, right? Like this query that we have, we could add them to another existing table. That also can increase storage. Generate an index for them. An index, we look at an index, but generating an index can take time. An index helps you to speed up stuff, but generating an index can not be a good idea, especially for tables that are frequently updated. An index is really a bad idea to go with. So in such a case, the best option that you have is just a view. So use a view. Okay. So yeah, that's basically views from a performance perspective, and why you might the same process that you might want to go through when choosing a view. Yeah, so that's all for this video. So again, I hope you guys will enjoy this video. If you learn anything, you let me know in the comment section below. If you have any suggestions, recommendations, questions, leave them in the comment section below. I'll do my best to get back to you. So the next we're going to be looking at OLAP and all that. Okay, so see you in the next tutorial. If you enjoyed the tutorial so far, please kindly like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also if you want to help me, you can buy me coffee or anything like that. You can support the channel. The link is gonna be in the description. Buy me a coffee or anything like that. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's the easiest way to help me. Okay, so yeah, like the video as well for the YouTube algorithm. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Keep safe.